So guys, Forsaken has brought us a lot of new stuff. We've covered the new archetype of pulses, which are the 4 burst pulse rifles. We also covered things like Warden's Law, which is the new archetype of hand cannon, which is a 2 burst hand cannon. In today's video, we are going to be covering this new sidearm archetype here, which is a 2 burst sidearm. Meaning when you hit the trigger, 2 bullets come out at a time. Now we have a multitude of different sidearms, and I know we have not gotten around to covering sidearms in depth here in Sandbox 2.0. I promise you guys, we're going to cover it. But today, the sidearm that we're going to be looking at is Smuggler's Word. I'm sure a lot of you already have this weapon. Now, I've got 2 pretty decent rolls, neither of which I think I would categorize as God rolls. I've got one here with tap the trigger, quick draw, ricochet rounds. It comes with a range masterwork, and I slapped on an Icarus grip just to allow for that improved accuracy while airborne. Now, this current roll was like the roll I was using to play purely defensively with this sidearm. Having something like quick draw here allows for the gun to be whipped out quick, and sometimes you just gotta whip it out quick, boys. Now, the other roll I have here is not necessarily a good roll. I was mainly using it to see how rangefinder worked on it. So if there's anything you could take away from this one, it's a decent PvE roll, but rangefinder was the only thing I was truly using it for. Now, rolls aside, let's talk about this archetype of sidearm. Right off the bat, this is gonna steer some of you away, and I don't want to scare you with this. Optimally, it has one of the worst time to kills at 3 crit 2 body shots at 0.73 seconds. Now let me go ahead and say this, 0.73 seconds is still freaking fast. A lot of people are going to compare this to our other sidearms, and I will say things like Last Hope, Last Dance, especially something like Last Dance, which can get some nasty rolls on it, they do have a better optimal time to kill, somewhere around 0.5 seconds, which is crazy fast, but it does require 6 crits. The selling point for something like Smuggler's Word or Death by Scorn, which are the aggressive burst, 2 burst sidearms, is that they are the most forgiving sidearm. The other selling point is the range stat that these have by default. They've got very high range, which takes me to my conclusion. Guys, I'm using this sidearm defensively, even though I guess it kind of does look like I'm aping with it. The point is, if you were just to pick up a sidearm to use defensively, I would point you to a multitude of other sidearms. I would say pick up an Amalon adaptive sidearm, your lightweight sidearms, your adaptive sidearms, maybe even your Surus rapid fire sidearms. Use those defensively. Load them out to be the weapon that shuts down those shotgun rushers. But if you just want to be that guy, and when I say that guy, I'm talking about that guy in Rumble that just doesn't put the sidearm down. The guy who doesn't own another weapon. He just owns that one sidearm, and he's mapping people. Smuggler's Word, Death by Scorn, both of those can serve that purpose, which takes us to the God roll conclusion. Let me start this off by saying I will not be reviewing Death by Scorn yet. I'm saving that one for when we actually review that gun. I actually got a pretty good roll on it. But let's talk God rolls here. First up, my sights. Guys, I see so much inconsistency whenever I load my sight out in purely range, because normally any sight that you pick that bumps range will hurt your handling or will hurt your stability. So yeah, I would honestly just choose the sight that helps that stability and handling as much as you possibly can. Believe me, we'll make up for it on the tail end. Now, magazine perk, guys, definitely ricochet rounds. It's by far the best perk here on our sidearms. It's one of the many reasons why Last Hope was so nasty last year. Now, as far as our final 2 traits, again, guys, the role we're going for here is to be that guy that never puts his sidearm away. So I'm not going to choose things like quick draw, because I'm not using this sidearm defensively. So I would go with 2 options, either move in target or full auto. Now, I think the weapon is definitely manageable enough to just hit the trigger yourself. There's some weapons in this game I recommend full auto on, and those guns are just weapons that just have such a fast rate of fire that it's just better to just lay on the R2 trigger with them. But in regards to these 2 burst sidearms, I really think that rate of fire is manageable. But again, I let that just boil down to preference. I would prefer moving target. Some might still prefer full auto, which takes us to the final column. And I'm going to choose a trait here that I never choose, because again, guys, I'm always saying consistency. And here, I am probably not going to just say consistency, because if you're going to be maining this sidearm and you're going to be mapping people, the options I would choose is either rangefinder or realistically kill clip. Now, the reload speed on this weapon isn't just great, but man, it's a lot better than I see from other weapons. There's a lot of guns I pick up, base default stats are really good, but then they go snail speed on reload, which means the only way to really make kill clip work on those guns is if you pair it with outlaw. Fortunately, here with things like Smuggler's word, is that you really don't need Outlaw to pair with Kill Clip. I felt like the reload speed here was just fine. What makes this really good is in something like Rumble, getting a kill, reloading, and moving to your next target. You've got the range, you've got the consistency, especially if you get a ranged masterwork on this gun, and maybe even load it out with a freehand mod to jump down your sights even faster for moving targets. Having Kill Clip is just icing right there. Again, there's a lot of guns. I mean, we already know Kill Clip is good. It's a very good trait, but there's a lot of weapons I don't recommend Kill Clip on because I just rather load the weapon out to be more consistent. This is a sidearm that can dominate at ranges that sidearms probably shouldn't be able to dominate. Let's just be real here. So if it's already consistent enough outside of sidearm range, all on its own, then slapping on something like a ranged masterwork, applying a freehand grip mod there to jump down your sights even faster to take advantage of moving targets, you've essentially got two different options there between rangefinder and kill clip, both of which will be extremely nasty. The kill clip role being the role that I would use in something like Rumble if I was just to main this sidearm. So guys, that is Smuggler's word. I think these two burst sidearms are really good. They definitely do some funky stuff outside of sidearm range. They have the potential to map just off of their base default stats, and I think that's what makes them dangerous. They're one of the few sidearms that allows you to just purely main it. It actually reminded me of Crow's Eye back in D1. I'm sure some of my Rumble guys in here probably remember players doing nothing but maining that sidearm, and I believe that these two burst sidearms will allow you to do just that. So guys, that is my review on this archetype of sidearms. I will be doing a breakdown at some point this week for sidearms here in 2.0, so be looking out for that. Guys, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.
Yo.